Welcome back, Mere Mortalites, to another edition of the Mere Mortals podcast. We've got Meanderings today. We're going to be philosophizing out in the local park today.
Yes, we are.
Juan on this side.
Kyron Podcasting 2.0.
Oh, certified.
on this side.
If you are listening to the audio, Kyron's got his Podcasting 2.0 certified shirt on.
Look at your app.
Very nice.
The picture of me with my fancy new shirt. So yeah, thank you to Dave Jones, Adam Curry, and it was like the No Agenda shop people. They were the ones who finally like kicked it into gear and actually
made it happen.
Yeah, Adam and Dave are not drop shippers. They are they're podcasters / developers.
Yeah. So this is other people who were, that's sort of their valley, like to help them out and to do that sort of stuff. That's cool.
Correct. So yeah, nice little shirt. I want to actually take a photo sometime, and I'll take a photo of me wearing this and use it for like the value for value cover art.
Oh, yes. Yep.
Because I do want to re-kick that podcast.
Oh, you do? Oh,
yes,
damn. Okay, well, let's start right there, man.
Yeah. So
tell me a little about that.
So, because I've got some free time this evening.
Yeah.
Flaking people. I'll probably try and use that time to get the self-hosting stuff sorted. Okay. I think it's doable in one like evening / night. I just need to get my ass in the gear and actually do it. And so what I'm sort of thinking is I still think the value for value has more life in it yet. So when I first did it, it was sort of like examining the concept of what it is, and sort of like getting into the philosophy of it, almost like the ethics of it. Yep. When should you do it? How should you do it? Like what's behind it? Why you don't want to maybe talk about tipping? Why you really want to emphasize value for value? Why you sort of want it's connected to the like quality of your show, so you can't have a shit show and expect good value. It's this whole sort of cycle. I think I did 17 episodes all up. But once I chatted with Adam Curry, it was sort of like that was the build up to that conversation almost, and it was good. It was a good build up because that was probably the most research I've done. If you look at my notes that I typically take for conversations, it was like double page. I had so much stuff there. So with all that being said, I sort of just dropped it because I was like, there's like hard. It's hard being consistent, being like every week on every Thursday or whatever it was. Now that they've sort of implemented live, I can see myself if I put in like a good chunk of time right at the start of learning things, setting things up. Yep. I can hit the button, record, stop, maybe do like a couple little small things, and then it's done. Yep. And I think I can commit to that again. Okay. Oscar also has mentioned like, it would be kind of cool to see how other people do it. So I'm sort of thinking of it as like almost like an emphasis show of like, here's how different podcasts are, like a podcast review show almost. So it's like, here are how different podcasts do value for value. So I'll talk about ours. I'll talk about the book review one of ours, which is much different than this. It's a lot less emphasis on like straight up in your face. I put that right towards the end. I would examine other cool shows like the Intergalactic Boombox podcast, the Podcasting 2.0 itself. There's a whole bunch of Bitcoin ones.
Yeah, just the way that they promote it in different ways.
Yeah. So I think and sort of like examine how each individual person does that, maybe some nuances of why theirs is good, what they're lacking. So it's sort of like a review show slash getting into like, okay, we've talked about the ethics before, now let's see how people are putting it into practice.
Gotcha.
So, okay. So that it'll sort of be like season 2 almost, which we've never done on ours. So
no,
we've just
ours
been like,
was just season 1, episode X.
Yeah.
Plus 1.
Yeah. So
cool.
Yeah. So we'll see. I really, I just got to get my ass into gear and
actually put it into practice. Okay.
And actually do
it.
So
okay, speaking into putting our ass into gear, so I'm going to call myself out earlier than needed
what
here.
What have you done?
Because I would have called myself out of the monthly goals, but I know sometimes a lot of our listeners don't listen to that because it is a one-off. So, but you should listen to that because we do often talk about some interesting things.
Surprisingly enough, they are some of our most popular ones.
Oh, really?
A couple of them.
Actually, no, that is true. But no, so. This month, I'm already seeing, unless there is, 5 days left in this month? And there's a a ton load of things that I have not done as part of my monthly goal. There is a ton load, and
guilty on this side.
I'm gonna get hit here with like 20% completion if I don't like be like put some effort into it.
Yep.
But I've noticed that one of the things that I've been doing for now quite a long time, and Karen knows of this very well, is I've got a problem, people. I've got an addiction with Agario.
Oh, shit.
I've got an addiction with Agario. To the point that just the other day, it was active in my mind that I was like, oh, I've got like a spare hour.
Yeah.
This is where that spare hour, I should go and do this book review. I should go and do this. Or I could complete this article that I want to write, or I do this research. No, I just played Agario for 1 hour. And I listened to a podcast while I was doing it. And I went, it's making me feel like I'm being productive. And in a sense, I am. However, I still got to call myself out and go, yes, but that's like, sure, you're being productive at listening at something while I'm doing it. And maybe I'm taking in, say, 50% of the value of the podcast that I'm listening to. But I'm accomplishing zero of the things that I'm actually wanting to get done in the month. And again, I've thought about why I'm doing that month, and it goes back up to the annual goals and everything like that. So I was like, yes, I'm being productive. Am I being productive in the things that I actually want to do? I still, and this is, are you hearing me say this? I'm talking about like playing Agario is productive. It isn't. It was an absolute waste of 1 hour, right? In reality. So I can't even tell you what podcast I was listening to.
Yeah, I was going to say, you could be listening to that podcast about, what was that theory that you were talking about last week, which was so incomprehensible. That
it was assembly theory.
Assembly theory.
So it could be that, and it's like...
I'm being productive learning about assembly theory.
I have no idea. I still can't explain to you what assembly... And I listened to that, like, dedicated.
Yeah.
So I went, holy crap. Okay, so I was like, am I going to... stuff from next month, and I'm like, no, I need to like do it like now. This is the stuff that happen like now. So because I had I think I told you this. I had the app, Agario app, on my phone, and I went, nah, get rid of it. So like that's off. And when I go back home, like literally after this podcast, I'm gonna go in there. I'm gonna block that website. I'm gonna be like, nice. Block it and be like, you cannot access this website unless you like go and do all these things. I'm gonna be like, no, force it out of like my existence. So I just found myself just so much time that I was like, oh man, I'll just go and do this. I've got spare 20 minutes. But yeah, it's for sure adding up now. I was going to be careful because am I going to replace it with something else like TikTok or insert X here? So, but there's like quite a few things I need to put like a lot of time into to get done this month for the monthly goal. So I'll try my best to orientate my way that way.
Yeah, nice.
The Agario addiction has to end, folks.
For sure. Well, the way that I've solved a similar problem, which was I was maybe like reading too much like manga or something like that, or games don't really get me as much anymore, but maybe I'd be scrolling too much on Instagram or something like that. And for me it was like don't allow myself, like when we're at our place here, that this is like business time. This is like, so I'm always doing something. Like if it's not practicing German, I'll be stretching. If I'm not doing that, I'll be working on video. There always is something. That could be done, and I just don't allow myself here. But when I go back home to my parents, that's when I'm like,
gotcha.
If I feel like being lazy or
binging 2 hours on video,
or if it's like open up the laptop in the morning, normally I would just go straight into like the German tab or whatever, but there I'll be like, I like to start when it's 9 a.m. and it's 8:47 right now. I'll go into 9gag be productive for 13 minutes to get to that 9 a.m. point, and then bam. And
then it's an interesting
And then,
thing.
Of course, I always miss it and then go to like 9:03. And then it's like,
9:10, 9:15, and 9:30.
The next nice looking one.
It just keeps going. So, okay. I'll definitely take that that view of thinking of more. And this is not to say, obviously, not to the other extreme of, never do fun things, but this is like, I'm spending it's at least like an hour a day where I'm like, okay, I'm actively knowing too that I'm doing this when I could definitely be doing something else more productive that's aligned to what I should be doing.
For sure. Yeah, sometimes you just need those moments to jump out at you to be like, all right, I need a change here. I can't keep doing this. All right, I'll bring up one for you, which I think might be kind of fun, which is I think it's a good thing that I'm not going to the US with you. So you invited me to come out to your V conference. Which is in how many days now on? 55
days? Yeah.
He's got it etched into his brain.
Yeah.
And so you had 2 tickets to this thing, and you were like, you could come if you wanted to. And I was like, oh, maybe, but
Yep.
it was never really like as driving for me as it is for you, obviously.
Yeah, unless it was like something unbelievable, or someone unbelievable there that was going, that you'd be like, oh man, I really want to go. Yeah, that'd have to be a big driver for you to want to go.
And even then, it's sort of like, it could be the most amazing person, and I'm like, what's the chances I'm actually going to meet him there? There's going to be, what, potentially 10,000 people.
Yeah, like if there was certainty, maybe you might be like, okay, but yeah. There wasn't enough there that you'd have to be like, you were like, oh yeah, I wanted to go.
Yeah, exactly. Even if that was the case, though, even if there was someone like amazing, and I personally had a desire to go, and it was a strong desire, I still think the better thing would be for me to not go. And there's a couple of reasons for this. One is, how long's the conference for? How many days to go over?
4 days.
4 days.
Yes.
So I'm not going to be able to have energy for 4 days of like intensity, I guess.
Yep.
I don't have that in me. I can fake it for like 5 hours of being like high energy, and then after that I just burn out and crash. And I think having me there would bring down your energy level somewhat, because I'd sort of be like a home base kind of.
Yep.
I know you'd definitely be like going off and doing your own thing, and I'm cool with that. Like, both of us are independent enough that it can be like, all right, one's going off doing his thing, I'll see him in an hour or two or whenever. But I still think having me there could draw like, I could be like the emotional energy vampire in a way, and be like, Juan comes to me and you're like, I just met this fucking crazy person, woo! And then I'm like, oh yeah, I chatted with this cool guy over here, it was alright, but you know, I have a feeling like I wouldn't be able to stay at the level that I'm expecting that you will reach.
Be here for 4 days. I'm going to be there extra day 6. I'm going to be there a day extra before and a day extra afterwards. So.
Yes.
Yeah, man, I'm so looking forward to it.
VeeCon. So is that sort of what you're like? Are you imagining almost so what I'm sort of imagining is, for large periods of time, it'll be like the Wolf of Wall Street, like high energy, cocaine.
I'm imagining
not actually taking drugs, but like the
actual taking, but like
the energy of like, let's go, let's get things done, woo, going after it and meeting people.
I think it's going to be like that for sure. So the day before VeeCon actually starts, they have like a session just outside of the stadium in the grass area. There's like a big park area just outside of, which is pretty cool. I was like, oh, that's fun. And the session, I think, is from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. as like a meet and greet and say hello to everybody. And I'm completely expecting that it's going to be like pandemonium. You got like 10,000 people, or roughly, let's say 5,000. Let's say 5,000 there. And again, mixed in between people like Logan Paul, Gary Vee is probably going to be there. A couple of others that got announced this morning was like Eva Longoria got announced as well. The guy who I forget his name, but I know of him, but I forget the guy who created and started Gymshark, also going as well. So people like that, right? Like, it's going to be like hanging around and seeing people. So
it's an Aussie guy, right?
No, British guy.
Really?
British guy. Yeah. Gymshark.
Okay.
Gymshark?
Yes. Thought he was.
Yes. British. It's a British. You know, I'm pretty certain he's British.
Let me look.
Have a look at that just to make sure that's correct. So, what was I saying? Yes. It's going to be intense already. Like, I could imagine that for 5 to 10 p.m. it'd just be going around all these different groups, meeting people, saying hello, like just trying to get as many people, like know as many people as possible. Already there's like organized things of like, go and train at this time, go and run at this time, like go do a 5K, go have a couple of beers. I can even tell you, I've already organized too many events that I'm not going to be able to go to.
Okay.
Like I've already talked to maybe 15 or more people that already want to do something the day before VeeCon.
And who are these people?
These people I've just met through like Discord or the Australian Discord guys. So there's already so many people I've already met and talked to.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'm not going to be able to do all these things.
Send them this video, because I'm going to tell them right now, like, if one's making internet friends, I don't think that can be counted as like a rock solid, he's going to come to your thing. Yeah, like I think if one has, if something else comes up, he will totally blow you off. So don't be expecting like
what happened here for you this afternoon. Like, you have to reach out to me. Like, if we're talking here, like, you'd have to reach out to me like on the day and be like, hey, we're still doing this, and I'll be like, yes, but you'll have to hit me up. If not, it's like, it ain't gonna go. Like, it ain't gonna happen. Like, there's no times that have been scheduled though. So this is like the scenario of like, oh yeah, like someone posted something around like, oh, who wants to get a workout in the day before? And I was like, 100%, I want to get a workout in.
Yeah.
So they're like, cool, we'll work out when we get there.
But they're expecting, a normal person will work out at maybe, I don't know, 5 p.m. or something. And one's like, I'm here 4:30 a.m. Let's get it. Let's do it. Yeah,
exactly. So, although I'm sure there'll be some people like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm expecting, and then the lineup of what's actually happening throughout the rest of the days is, I think it's like 8 a.m. to, I think, 4 p.m. 3 p.m. something like that. It's like the conference. Then 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. is like happy hour drinks, and then from 8 p.m. to later is the night shows, events, music, blah 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 blah. So I think it's going to be like back to back 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. for 4 days straight.
Yeah.
Plus whatever extra things are happening like afterwards, beforehand. Yeah. So it'll just be like, it will be nonstop. I can imagine that by the end of that, I will have. I'll be saying 1 day extra after VeeCon, and I will be completely like destroyed in terms of like tiredness and just like needing to recuperate and just like have my own time to myself, just to be like, okay, no humans. Like, yes, maybe I'm pretty extroverted, but even at that point, I'll be like, oh man, I'm gassed out from all the energy.
I expect you to come back, and I want to be seeing like texts of you flirting with Eva Longoria and like giving Snoop Dogg ideas on how to make his music better or something.
Dude, I wanna. So Mark Zuckerberg's sister's going, Randy Zuckerberg, and
Randy,
I 100% want to like be able to like talk to her and be like just organize some random thing. Like imagine an interview, not with Mark, but like I don't know, someone in like the family or something like something like weird. Like that would be just so funny. Like just be like, oh man, and they would. If I don't come back with stories, then it wasn't a good trip. Like there's got to be
for sure.
There's going to be some ridiculous stories
and some. Well, you're taking the mics with you as well, aren't you?
Yeah. I think I will. Yeah.
You are taking the mics. I'm telling you right now.
And my laptop.
Yes. The guy Ben Francis. Yes, he was British.
Ben Francis. That's the one.
There was another guy popping up saying Lewis Morgan as well, but I can't.
Maybe there's co-creators or something.
Yeah, like that. I can't find his details.
Okay, cool. Ben Francis.
It looks like they're both from Bromsgrove, Worcestershire,
London,
or England.
Here's the other one actually, because it's kind of related. So, talking about all this, mere mortalites at home might be familiar with booking flights, right? You might be familiar with the pain of flights changing. Okay, but what's happened, and I don't know if I think I have mentioned this already to you, but my Australian flight out of Australia to go to the US, it changed a little. Some of the details changed, but it's changed like twice, right? Twice. My flights from LA to Minneapolis and back to LA have changed. Like I can't even count to you how many times they've changed because I've stopped reading the emails that the things are changing. Like I just get, I'm going to say on average one a day that something's changed in the flight. Time, the plane, something else, like the availability of food, some other crap.
Yeah.
Every single day, something changes. And I've stopped looking at it.
What airline is it?
Delta.
Delta. Okay.
So I go, okay. I know that you're informing me here that things are changing, but do I, as a customer, do I need to give a shit that you've changed my flight by 2 minutes and you've changed the number, instead of it, like say VA22, it's VA23. Do I really need to know that on a daily basis to be informed? Part of me goes, okay, perhaps not. So my question to you was, in those sort of instances, are you the type of person that you'd be like, yeah, I would want to be informed every single day that these things are changing just in case? Or being like, look, don't tell me until it's like actually coming closer to the date, and then if it's actually going to be affecting me, then let me know.
Yeah, I think my views have changed on this because I used to be the one saying, man, and when I first started hearing about cryptocurrencies, being like, oh man, governance. Wouldn't it be awesome if I had more control over where my taxes went, for example? So, I think this spending program is silly. I would prefer my portion of that go to somewhere else. And so I could have like a more granular detail of maybe where I want my taxes going to. But playing around with Cardano, and they have a governance project called Project Catalyst, and it's basically a way of you as an owner of portions of Cardano, of the actual token, or the coin, I should say, of the coin, you can use those to affect where funding goes, which is like there's a big pool of funding. And so you can say, yeah, I think those projects are looking good. I'd prefer those to get funded over these ones here. And you can also do negative votes. So like, I really like these ones are negative. And there's a whole big system related to people reviewing it, giving comments on it. Pete Bowie is an ambassador for that. So he also like goes and he goes into like some of the projects. He talks with project people in his own podcast and stuff like that. And a couple of times I've tried to use it, and I'm like, there's too much here. Like I thought this would be the kind of thing that I would want more.
Yeah.
I
want
want
the
more
reality
options.
of it.
But when the reality came along, I went, no, there's too much here. I don't have the time to look into
all these things. Yeah.
So, but having the option there is nice. So I would probably be more on the side of like, yes, give it to me, and like I'll filter it into a separate folder where I don't need to
give it to me, and give me the option to know, and then I will. Yeah, you yourself will manage it if you don't want to know.
The risk then, of course, is the classic. An important one gets mixed up. Yeah, like your flight got cancelled. Yeah, and is now.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, that's probably where I was falling in line. So I think that as a customer, I'm just thinking from an airline perspective. It is not. How do you differentiate exactly when something cancels, or when Qantas decides to change my flight by 10 hours? Yeah, right? That's okay. That's a bit ridiculous. Cool. Tell me about that. That seems like something I need to deal with. But if you're changing it by 2 minutes, 3 minutes, you're changing the number of the flight. Do you advise in a different way? Do you perhaps bundle it up together in a week? If it's again, these flights are 2 months out still. So do I really need to know 20 times that the flight numbers changed? Probably not. There might be some smarts here. But yeah, tell me if it hey, your flight's cancelled. Okay, cool. Send me an email, make it important, make something that I'm going to read. If not, it just kind of gets lost in all this noise. And it's well, I'm going to be angry at you when something wrong goes, something happens wrong with my flight because there was just so much noise and I just didn't pay attention to it type of deal. It's
yeah.
Whose ownership there? Yeah, maybe a little bit on myself as well if that was to happen. But I think in states like that, you could, as a business for customers, could do a lot better.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, interesting. There's another thing that comes to mind for me is doing research on stuff. So I think the next musings we should do an NFT special one. So I want to talk about NFTs for a bit.
Okay.
Because I completely, if you go back 2 or 3 months ago when I was
chat.
Well, I was just oh yeah, NFTs they're silly. I'm not going to look at them, not going to bother with them. And yeah, that I have been doing a fair chunk of that. And so I need to address my change of viewpoint on that, at least actions wise. Similar sort of thing. It's oh shit, I'm actually looking at these a lot now. So maybe I should figure out why. But a similar thing with the research aspect of that is, man, that it's impossible to try and research every single one that is popping up.
You can't. Yeah.
And filtering through. Yeah. I like that in particular. Even I joined this one Discord, which was, let me bring it up. I think it was called the Cardano Lounge. Yeah, the Cardano Lounge. And so if you scroll through it there, you can see they've got basically a separate channel for each different NFT project that is there. And if you tried to go through them all and actually not only, and this is sort of a filtering service in itself, because this is just picking out current ones, minted ones, previous minted, there's so much shit in there, and that's not even,
that's huge.
That's just giving you a little bit of what's there, and then if you were going to do proper research, you'd actually need to go into their Discord to figure it out. So if I was trying to do this seriously, I'd have to have hundreds of Discords or something like that. Discord channels.
Operating in NFTs, I think if you wanted to make it a job, you would have to have some pre-capital to be doing it, but two, I think you'd be spending 40, 60 hours a week on just going through random Discords and being okay, try to get the allow list, the white list, whatever it may be.
It's kind of funny watching people who are just I need liquidity ASAP. I need to get rid of this one thing, and it's it's worth 100 and it's worth I don't know, maybe 58 or something like that. roughly $50. roughly $75 now, huh? Hey.
Yeah.
And you're just like, what? Why do you desperately need, $50 or something like that? But then they've probably got like 600, and so they're trying to just ship off like
everything,
80 of them to be able to actually buy like $1,000 one or something like that. So you go, oh, okay, I see what you're doing here. Yeah, you're in the you're deep into this. I'm like on the periphery.
Yeah, still
skirting around.
Well, it's certainly, I think the conversation, I don't know whether I discussed it directly with Lucas when I had him on the podcast, or whether I've had the conversation indirectly, but just there's just so many things that was happening in cryptocurrency like 3 years ago, 2 years ago, that you couldn't, even if you've been in the space again since 2009, you're shit out of luck if you're going to know everything that's happening in cryptocurrency. Usually not. There's too many things. And same thing with NFTs. It's like, there is so many things happening that, and again, you could look back and be like, oh, I could have gone into Bored Apes, I could have gone into VeeFriends, I could have gone into Azuki or Proof Collective, or all these things that went like really large. Sure, you could have, but again, the amount of apes things and animals and the noise that was around, you know about it now because obviously it's successful, but at the time, like maybe you wouldn't because there's just so many things. Like you could have also gone and bought like 1,000 of these like toads or something, and they just turn out to be shit, and you're like, oh,
yeah. Okay, well, it's the time now. Like the next big one is probably
already happening as it is.
And you just don't know about it. You can't know about it. There's too much info in the world. Let's burn it all and go back to living in trees. Again. So another one that I had here was, did you listen to the Morgan Housel with Tim Ferriss? So this was an episode he had couple of months ago, and it was related to like financial advice. He was sort of like he wrote for the Motley Fool.
I did listen to that one. I like that one. That was a good one. That was a really good one.
Me too. And so I only listened to that the other day, and there was one thing that he had in there which was being reasonable instead of rational. And so
being reasonable instead of rational.
Yeah. Okay. So he was saying, for him personally, he doesn't have a mortgage. Now, this is not a rational choice.
Oh, yes.
The most rational thing would be to get the mortgage, use that leverage to
invest somewhere else,
and then you're not, you're not just sitting on like unused capital or things like that. And he was saying he had people getting angry at him or being like very emotional, being like, "It's such a bad idea. Like you're leaving so much money on the table."
Well, and also because he was like, he writes for the Motley Fool and like talks all about finance.
Yeah, so all of his friends are like financial investors,
so it's like, what are you doing? That's dumb. That's a stupid thing. Yeah. That's not the rational thing.
Correct.
But it's a reasonable thing.
Yes, and so it got me thinking. What are some things that maybe you do that I'm just going to say make no technical sense? So like it's not like the most. Maybe like if you took a brief glimpse at it, the most rational thing to do, but is reasonable considering Juan as a whole. So for Morgan, he was saying the peace of mind that came from owning his own house was worth the financial gains that were being left on the table.
Gotcha.
I guess.
Okay. Yeah.
So is there anything that you do if you just said, "Oh, I do this" to someone, and they would be like,
for sure, yeah.
No, what? Why does that's stupid? Yeah, and then you could be like, no, it's reasonable for me.
Yeah,
but rationally,
for sure, it would be the fact that I've got 2 gym memberships. So it's the fact that I've got my CrossFit.
So the funny thing is that seems tame because a friend of ours, Stephen,
there's more than 2.
The funny Stephen he had 4 at one stage.
Yeah, had 4 and wasn't even using any of them, and a home gym,
and a home gym.
That's just ridiculous.
And a good home gym.
So, but no, for me, I think that's probably an example where it's like it's not. So I've got a CrossFit gym membership, and it's open every single day of the week. And it's like really good hours. It's like it might be like I might miss a day or something if I didn't schedule it correctly, but I still have a good life membership to go to like a normal gym, and I'm probably finding myself going maybe once a fortnight in the off chance that either I don't get the time to go to the other gym, or it's just easier for me to go there, or just in a different location, whatever it may be. But yeah, that's probably the choice there where it's like rationally, it's like, okay, well, I'm paying $20 a week every single time, and I'm probably going there like once a week if at that. So it's costing me like $20 per session basically, which is not totally terrible, but yeah, it's not really rational. But for me, it's reasonable because it absolutely saves me from if there was a day, let's just say, like say today, say today, so I know the CrossFit touring closes at 5 p.m., right? Now, it's 4 p.m. right now. And for me, it's like, okay, well, if I was trying to rush
20
right
minutes
now,
to get there.
Exactly. So it's like, if I have to go inside, go get changed, I've got nothing. Like, there's going to be like 5 minutes left to work out. And that's probably just going to stress me out if I really wanted to push it. Whereas if I was going to train today, I could just be like, oh, I can just get a good life. And it's going to be, it's available 24 hours. So, awesome. I can just go whenever.
Yeah.
So, it's reasonable for me. It's not overall rational, but it's pretty tame. But my sort of reasonable is like, it's okay for me. Like, that's the sort of stuff that I'll be like, yes, I'll do it for this instance.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So
what about you? What would be yours?
I had a couple that came up. One I think was pretty classic is I spend probably more time thinking about how to avoid driving than the actual time I would spend driving if I just didn't think about it.
Oh, okay.
So the other day, for example, we were planning on going to an event in the Valley, and I was doing a workout in South Bank. And so I was like, okay, well, I've got 3 options really, I guess. One, come home, shower, and then go in, which, there's a bit of driving required with that, probably an extra sort of like almost 20-ish minutes, maybe 25 of sort of like driving, going back and forth. I could just have shit in my car, go to the event and, just put a change of clothes, but then I'd sort of be stinky underneath or like feeling oily. Or I could go to like the public showers in South Bank and have a shower there. That's an extra bit of walking, but it's not driving. Like there's more time involved going there. It's tedious because you have to carry extra shit with you and all this sort of stuff. And so not only did I spend probably 10 minutes thinking about how I could avoid this extra bit of driving, I took upon the option of doing the shower in South Bank, which was probably an extra 15 to 20 minutes of annoyances. So literally it wouldn't have helped. Like it would have been the same amount of time driving as if my plan, I'd actually enacted my plan. Now I didn't do it because it rained and other things happened. But I think that's a pretty classic one for me. It's I hate driving so much that I will spend extra additional time, more than the driving itself. You've
said more than the rational time that you shoot on there, but
yes,
you find it reasonable.
But for me, it's reasonable.
Yeah, okay.
Another one is almost like, I guess, like the amount of money I leave on the table. Like, if just not having a job, like, I think most people would be like, you could be earning a bunch of money working in the mines right now. Like, why aren't you doing that? I think that one you could sort of say is like, rationally, if I'd spent these last 5 years, 5.5 years now, working, I probably could retire properly and be like, I don't need money ever again. As long as I don't do anything stupid. One arm handstand, I think that's self-explanatory. That makes no sense. Like it's such a stupid thing to do. Supplements and products in general. I'm kind of like anti-supplement. So I don't like taking supplements, and there's no
real good reason for it.
Like if you looked at the science, you could say that that's silly. Why wouldn't you? I've got low iron levels from donating blood too much, and so they kicked me off the program. They're like, no. Can't come back until you got your iron levels up, or you wait 6 months, whichever comes first. And I started to like take some iron supplements, and I just fucking hated it. I was like, I hate doing things where I can't particularly see the benefit in it. Like I sort of need to see the action, and then also it's sort of like an overall philosophy of mine is like the less hair gels, the less like makeup creams, moisturizers, sprays, or like all of that shit. Like the less I put of that on my body and like into my body, I feel is beneficial. But I can't reasonably look at each individual one and say one's bad for me on like the long, like right now. Like you're not going to be able to see the benefit nor the detriment, and so I sort of avoid a lot of them. And I think that one doesn't. I feel it. I can make a reasonable case for that, but a rational case for it, I think most people would just be like, "That's so dumb." Like, just take the supplement. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's a good one.
And the last one was minimizing waste. So the other week, I had a pair of shoes that were starting to flake.
Come away.
To do some crappy... Not only did they like flake from the inside, so there was just all this random sort of cardboardy stuff coming off. When we were out last weekend, the heel started to
tear away
as well. Like not just the heel, because it's sort of like a nice pair of shoes, so it's got that mini heel in the back. But the actual whole sole itself was coming
peeling
off.
Away, yeah.
Juan has experience with this with a
100%.
couple of his shoes.
Yeah.
And I think you pretty much told me it was just like, just get rid of them, get some new shoes.
Yeah.
You said that at some point. But I took them home, and I was going to do like a hatchet job at home of like my own creation of gluing them together or some shit. But I actually ended up going to the Hyperdome, and they have like a Mr. Minute is what it's called, and it's just like a general repair shop. You take phones, watches, all that, shoes. And he actually managed to fix them up, and the price at which he fixed them up was he quoted me as like 60 something, but I only ended up charging 40.
Okay.
Now, if I was being super rational, I would probably think the shoes themselves were maybe like double this if I was going to get a new pair.
Yep.
They're obviously dying. Like there's multiple things going wrong with them.
Yeah.
But I hate waste so much that I'm willing to look at them and go, I'm just going to get them fixed. Like, I think the rational thing would be...
Did they fix the flaking on the outside and stuff like that?
No, so it was on the inside. So that's sort of like, I like got rid of it as much as I could, but, you know, this is probably going to show up again.
Oh, man.
But my distaste of waste is so great that I just went... This is a reasonable thing for me to do. I'm going to pay the extra money, and I'll probably pay the extra money in a month's time if it can make them last a little bit longer.
Gotcha.
You know, so I think that's one that's
you find reasonable to you.
Yeah,
but rationally,
it's not a blind spot. It's not a blind spot, but it's like it's almost like an intentionally like knowing just this is like a bad thing that I'm probably going to do, and it sort of makes sense to me.
And you're like, it's okay. Like I've come to agreement with it. It's fine.
Yeah, I've come to terms with this.
Wow. All right, Immortalized, I think we might pause there
good place
for the Meanderings today, folks. I appreciate taking the time to listen, and you're getting all the way to the end. Then, of course, you would have heard our little spiel most often around the value for value, and what we do here cannot continue without your support, folks. Cannot continue. So, of course, we were just talking a little bit earlier on, with Podcasting 2.0 and, the shirts being created.
How could someone get Mere Mortals 2.0 certified or Mere Mortal certified?
Mere Mortalite certified. Well, I think if you're going to be certified as Mere Mortal, you have to send through a boostergram.
Yes.
Doesn't matter what amount of the boostergram has, but if you send through a boostergram, then I think you're certified.
Yep.
You're certified. Like we'll
put it on your LinkedIn page.
We know you. Yeah. Like you're going to LinkedIn and be like, put in like Mere Mortal certified from 2022 onwards. Like that's it. You're certified. Just once. But yeah, I would encourage people to try and send a boostergram, because obviously you'll go through the process of you have to get cryptocurrency, you have to get a digital wallet, you have to go and do this. So there's a lot of steps in there. I think we talk about it, like the Value for Value podcast has a lot of stuff around that. You can go find lots of videos around how to do that as well. If you don't get the explanations from us, and try it out. I would probably recommend Fountain. It's probably a good one in terms of an application that you could use downloaded. There's been a lot of changes to it.
And once again, like we keep saying, this stuff is coming. We recently went to a crypto event where someone was telling me just how much the Australian banks are like racing to introduce crypto things into their own apps, into their own financial products. Like it's going to be it's a wave that's coming.
It's coming. Exactly. Get on board. Get your surfboard before that wave hits.
Exactly.
So get on the surfboard before the wave hits, folks.
You'll just get smashed.
Exactly. Ride it along with us, folks. Ride it along with us. All right, Immortal lads. We're gonna leave it there. Hope you enjoyed it. Juan out.
Karen out. Woo!